Hey, man. Have you ever heard of Stanley
We've
Meyer?
now tried to start this 3 times.
Yeah.
And we've had to cut once. Yes. We tried to start again. Now we've cut that.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about traveling Stanley.
Stanley Meyer. Have you heard of Stanley
Meyer?
Yeah.
No.
No?
Is Meyer just Stanley backwards?
Not even close.
Not a Stanley on that. From Holes.
Ray M.
What? Oh, Ray M is Meyer's back. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So Stanley Meyer.
Stanley Meyer.
Is his brother Oscar?
No, his brother Steven.
Oh. Stanley and Steven.
Yeah, they're twins. Their other brother got kidnapped for a nature versus nurture study at birth.
Got it. Okay.
No, but Stanley and Steven, they're twins.
Yeah.
But this is about Stanley.
Okay. Steven's irrelevant.
Well, he's relevant. He'll come in at some points.
Okay.
In the story, but he's not the character. You know.
He's not the ancillary.
Well, he is the ancillary, actually.
Oh, okay. Can you imagine a murderer trying to take you out with a teaspoon of water?
At least the all-new 2020 Honda Civic.
Well, it's actually Descente, but go ahead. Like that time I almost choked on a boneless wing at Applebee's. Thank you for serving us, Tiffany. We threw in an extra 5% for the death.
Things I learned last night.
Stanley, coincidentally, you said Traveling Stanley, which is fairly accurate. He did go on tour.
What I was trying to think of was Flat Stanley. That's what I was trying to think of.
What is Flat Stanley?
You never did Flat Stanley. Did you Flat Stanley? Yeah. Flat Stanley is
Did you do Flat Stanley?
Did you do Flat? Have you never tried Flat Stanley? It's an IPA. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, can I get a 16-ounce Flat Stanley?
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like an IPA. No, not that we know what IPAs are.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, anyway. So, I don't know. I couldn't actually tell you what it stands for. So,
I'm Googling it.
Flat Stanley. Yeah, you draw like it's like a color thing and you cut them out and then you put it in an envelope and you mail it and it's basically like a pen pal, but it's a Flat Stanley and it travels around. Yeah.
I've heard of that. I never did it, but I heard of that.
Yeah. Anyway, so
yeah, that's not Stanley.
Okay.
That's not who we're talking
Stanley
about.
Stanley was not flat.
He was not flat. He was very much a normal sized human. Mm-hmm. But people did put him in envelopes and ship them to other people.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
How
many stamps would you need to ship a person?
A lot of stamps to ship Stanley.
I don't know. We should ask Wayfair,
Stanley
apparently. Remember when they were like selling kids or whatever people thought they were doing?
I did not know they did that.
Bro, do you read... Hold on. I know that you don't watch the news. I know that you only watch YouTube news.
I watch Nick News.
If they don't talk about it on Nick at Night, I have no idea it's happening. I'm telling you right now. Like, if it's not between Full House and The Cosby Show, which is still on air for some reason.
Yeah, it's surprising.
He's free. I couldn't tell you about it. So,
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So
Stanley Meyer.
No, Wayfair was a conspiracy last year that Wayfair was selling kids, and that's why
were they actually?
No.
Oh.
Obviously.
Where did the conspiracy come from? Is it like the Pizzagate thing?
I think someone kind of, yeah, it was a QAnon thing.
Yeah.
I think someone took screenshots of the website, but you know how you can edit a website? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just edit it to name all the products kids' names.
Oh.
Like you can buy this.
You know what? I think I've
Do you
heard
remember
of
that?
This, where it's
and people are like, but the screenshots of the website. And you're like, okay, but if you go to the website, it doesn't, also Photoshop exists.
Yeah.
Like you absolute morons.
Yeah.
Do you know that I don't have a Chick-fil-A tattoo, you idiots?
Wait, really?
I'm winking for the audio experience.
An audible wink. Okay, let me tell you about Stanley Meyer. Stanley Meyer, he was an inventor extraordinaire from the 20th,
what year is this?
The 20th century.
So the 1900s.
No, yes.
Okay.
Found his success in the mid 80s, early 90s, and he had one invention that propelled him to fame. which was a water-powered car. He put it in a buggy, and it was fueled entirely by water.
Was it by steam or like just straight up
water
H2O?
And it was really interesting. I guess we could talk about the engine for a second. It was interesting because technically, I mean, the fuel was water, but technically it ran on hydrogen, because what it did is there was a fuel cell that would take the water and it would split the water molecules into oxygen and hydrogen. And then it would shoot the oxygen out of the vehicle. So that was the exhaust, was just oxygen. And then it would shoot the hydrogen into just a normal combustion engine. And that would be the fuel for the engine. Those were two separate things that had already existed. Hydrogen engines were already a thing, but getting hydrogen to put in an engine was kind of costly and not practical. And then
is that the eco option? Is that like, would that be better than what we're doing?
Yes. Yeah, it would be. Because the exhaust is just oxygen.
But there's not as much money in water. There's no big oil. There's no big water companies.
Well, Aquafina.
Dude, Dasani is out here. It's like, we should push this vehicle.
Dasani's like
literally, because you run out of water out there, you got to push it. To the nearest water hole.
The brand new Dasonda. Dasonda Civic. Lease the all-new 2020 Dasonda Civic.
Is that what Donda is? Donda. I was surprised. Has someone already made the joke that Donda merch is just a black t-shirt?
No, I haven't heard that.
Oh, I thought about it the other day. I was like, you could merch this just black album cover. Have you seen the Donda album cover?
No, I'm not interested, honestly.
Oh, could just picture a black square and now you've seen it.
Oh, great.
It's literally all it is.
Yeah, that's creative.
Anyway, so Donda is Dasani Honda.
Dasani Honda.
Yep. Dasonda. Well, it's actually Dasande, but go ahead. That's how they say it, you know?
If you watch their commercials.
If you watch their commercial, it's like Dasande, like...
Dasande, like Dasande.
Dasande, like on Sunday.
So, and the splitting the molecule, that had been around since the 1800s.
Right.
Electrifying water, splitting the molecule. And I mean, even by the time he invented this, we had split the atom. And so we were doing more impressive things than that.
These cars wouldn't sell in Atlanta.
Why?
Because you can split hydrogen and oxygen, you know, but you can't get the human out of that water from Lake Lanier.
Oh, God.
So the exhaust is just oxygen and human.
Oh, that's awful. What he did that was unique was two things. One, he put the two systems together. But two, what was really unique is he was able, and I don't know the specifics of it, but by the way he charged that water, he was able to produce more energy than made sense. And so it was one of the biggest issues with this idea was that it would when you electrified the water, it would take so much energy that you might as well have just made an electric car, because you're just kind of transferring that energy from electricity to the hydrogen, and it's like you're just using an electric car, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was like an unnecessary step. It was like you're having to put this much power in to charge it to get that much power out. You might as well just put that power into running the car.
Now that makes more sense.
Yeah.
When you say it like that.
So, needless to say, this was a pretty crazy idea. And he went on tour promoting it.
Was he driving around a water-powered car?
No, he had a tour bus and he had the car attached to the tour bus.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's not true. He drove the car around.
Okay. You can just lie to me. You know that?
That's part of the show. It's all just part of the show. So here, let's talk about his background before we get too far into
let's talk about his
background. This guy, he was your stereotypical like Lincoln Logs kid. That, but without the Lincoln Logs, if that makes sense.
He was just doing a bunch of unnecessary steps. Like he would like just drench his Lincoln Logs in water before we put them together. And someone was like, "You can just do that without the water."
And he was like, "Yeah, but the water makes it cooler."
He's like, "Yeah, but I just love soggy logs."
He's at preschool, and the teacher gives him all these Lincoln Logs. He's like, "Why are these so dry? What's wrong with
my
you?"
damp cabin. I'm just dabbing my cabin. What are you doing over there? Cabin dabbing.
It's like an Eminem song. Relaxing in my dabbing cabin.
Oh yeah.
Damping.
But yeah, that's like 0.2 seconds of an Eminem song because it's like one of those like.
Yeah,
If you slow that down, that's actually
that's Eminem.
Yeah.
Anyways, his brother said in an interview that they were the kind of kids who they didn't have toys. They made their toys. So
those are cool kids.
Yeah, really cool kids. They were,
or they're very weird kids, like the neighbor in Toy Story. He made his own toys, but he was a villain. You know, that's what I'm saying. You know that you could either cool kid. That could go either way. Kid creativity. All right, child creativity can go one of two ways. Yeah. You can either be Phineas and Ferb, you know, or you can be the weird kid from Toy Story.
Yeah, that's true. The weird kid from Toy Story, though, he's like almost like a Dr. Frankenstein, like because he didn't build toys. He took toys apart and just stuck them together.
That's true.
And he's like, "You are now one," and they were terrifying combinations.
Yeah, it's kind of like Bible college relationships, terrifying combinations. You know, because they're either just like a person who wants to be a missionary and a person who thinks they want to be a missionary,
or they're a baby head and a spider.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, I was actually going to say there was a lot of couples at Christian college who looked like siblings.
Yeah, I love those.
That's one of my favorite. Remember us playing that game a lot? Yep, we would just pull people up and be like, "Okay, siblings are dating,"
and it's hard to tell.
It is,
especially
difficult.
At Bible college. Why do you? Anyway, never mind. Why does that happen? Why does that happen? Why do so many people who look the same end up at Bible college? Why do they all?
I was going to say
I
thought you were going to ask why do couples who look alike end up together, and it's because your definition of attractiveness is based off of your face. So because you think of yourself as attractive,
well,
but like the human brain goes, "This is good." I think that's a real thing. You know, that's why I've exclusively dated hot women. I couldn't get it out. I'm sorry. I couldn't get it out. That's funny.
Oh my god. That's gold.
Yeah. That's why whenever we did that episode about Natalia Barnett, I was like, her mom's pretty cute. Because we looked the same.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's rough. But I think that is real, that, you know, your facial features and all that. I don't know if that's part of evolution or what, but.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. Anyways.
Could also be from the inbreeding.
Yeah, that's probably more likely.
Tillin'! Live from the Rhino in Kansas City!
Kansas City!
Monster trucks, ice cream, funny stuff. You don't want to miss it.
Buy tickets, Tillin.com. That'll work too.
Can we get a monster truck?
Maybe.
So Stanley Meyer, he
was traveling around selling his water vehicle.
You're getting ahead of us.
Oh,
you're
sorry.
Getting ahead of us. After high school, he got a job. And he lived in Columbus, Ohio, and he got a job working for a local lab that specialized pretty much in just inventing stuff. That was their thing. They were like, "Hey, if you got an idea, build it, and then we'll sell it to somebody." That's pretty much his job. And this lab still exists. They actually recently released a patent to the market for a drone disruptor. So essentially, it looks like a rifle that when a drone's flying around, you just like shoot an electric pulse at it and it disables the drone. So it's an EMP for drone destruction. So if you're in your neighborhood and you just hate the drones that the kids are flying around,
or if you're at the Grand Canyon,
that
was probably the most frustrating day of my life. I know it was for you, but we wake up super early to watch the sunrise at the Grand Canyon.
No.
We drove through the night. We drove through the night.
We woke up in Hollywood.
That's true.
And then we drove
through the night
to Vegas, and we just watched the strip, saw everything, and then we drove through the night.
I was just trying to tell a good story because we're trying to get to the topic of the podcast.
Yeah,
and
but
so
here's
I was
the
just
thing.
trying to
You
brush
need
past
to paint
all
the picture of how exhausted
we were exhausted. We've been up for almost 24 hours, and it was beautiful to watch the sunrise of the Grand Canyon. And then we're sitting there, and all of a sudden you just hear.
And Zach's
in my head, I was like, "Am I about to fight a vacuum right now? Am I about to fight my vacuum?"
Zach literally was like, "Bees!"
I didn't remember that he was like, "There's a swarm of bees." And we were like, "No."
I say that all the time. Like I'll be somewhere and I'll hear a drone and nobody understands it, but I was just like, "Bees!"
That was funny. Yeah, so we could shoot that thing down.
Yep. Shoot it down.
That's from the lab that Stanley worked at in the 80s.
Yep. And so while he worked there, he invented a lot of stuff all over the place, like heart monitors for hospitals, devices for cooking, like just insane amount of stuff, to the point where the patent office was just like, if something comes across our desk from Stanley Meyer, we know it's legit. Just sign off on it. Like didn't even look.
That feels dangerous. Yeah, you build up enough rapport, you can get away with a lot.
Yeah. So it's hard to verify how many patents he had.
Well, did he didn't have them though? The company did.
Well, the company technically had some, but he also did a lot of patenting, like as a hobby. Like he would just invent stuff at home and go get stuff patented. It's kind of like a freelancer, you know. Like
is the inventing the hobby or is the patenting the hobby? Because
yeah.
Look at I don't like to invent things. I just like to patent stuff. I invent things so that I can patent.
So I can have a patent.
Yeah, I'm just a patenter.
Okay, so he would invent.
They call me
some
Patrick
stuff.
Pending.
Patrick Pending. Why your name's Stanley?
Yeah, but it's like a play on. You get it, right?
You get it though,
Do you
right?
get it?
You get it.
You get it.
You get it. You get it. So he would invent so much stuff in his free time that he ended up either through himself or through his company having, and the number is a little hard to pin down, but everything I found kind of comes at an average of, you're not going to believe this, 200,000 patents.
No way. I literally thought you were going to hype it up and be like, you're not going to believe this. 12 patents. Did we both say 12? That's hilarious. I straight up thought you were about to say, hey, wait. Before we go further.
Yeah.
Have you seen the TikTok thing where we close our eyes and intuitive clap?
Yeah.
Do you want to try it?
Yeah, let's try it. I've never done this. I don't know what you're talking about. But do we just close our eyes and clap?
We close our eyes and then whenever... No,
you didn't do
I wasn't ready yet. I was still explaining the thing.
You don't have very good intuition. All right, let's try it. I think I understand. You don't have to explain it to me. Let's go.
Okay.
Are your eyes closed? Mm-hmm. I intuit. I think your eyes were open.
Yeah, I opened my eyes for sure. I was going to try to sell it to you, though. I was going to try to sell you on that. Dang it. All right, anyway, that was fun. All right.
So he had a lot of patents. I'm going to be honest, I seriously doubt that he had 200,000. Because that rate, like he'd have to be inventing like 75 things a day and getting them patented. Like I don't even know, probably more than that, honestly.
But what do you know, but you like tweak one thing and you go, this is a new, like, you know.
Patent it. Yeah, I seriously doubt he had that many patents. But
over how long?
I mean, his career, I don't know exactly how long. He started after high school. He was born in 1940, so at the earliest started at 1958 and ran until 1998. So what, 30 years?
Sure.
Is that 30 years?
58 to 98?
40 years?
Oh, you're in charge of our finances. Fun.
I use a calculator.
Yeah, you
Let
better.
the machine think.
Yeah, calculator also patented by Stanley Meyer.
He invented that.
So for 40 years, but I mean, like, that's an average of,
What's 200,000 divided by 40?
is that 5,000 a year?
I don't know. Anybody got a calculator?
Okay, so it's 5,000 a year.
That's a lot.
That's at least 10 a day.
That's a lot. I seriously
12
doubt
a day, 15 a day, maybe.
Yeah, because I mean, when you're patenting, like, there's some development time. There's some time you got to gestate that, and
Yeah, but what if he's like on like? I mean, his name might be attached to like group things.
yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
Maybe.
sure.
I seriously doubt.
Did he
had that
die in
many patents.
'98? I don't like. Here's how I don't like that. If I die, that's how you're going to react. I don't like that. That's like a comfortable thing for you to react about death that way, where you go. That's like the same thing where you're like, yeah, I mean, this is a pretty interesting topic. 3 people died though, and it's like, I think you should give that more weight.
Okay, sorry.
So anyway, so Stanley Meyer
died.
no, we're not skipping ahead of that. Go to your. Say he has 200,000 patents.
200,000 patents. And then
Do your lesson plan.
Okay, yeah, sweet. Thanks, man.
Does your wife help you make these?
No,
She's a teacher.
She does not.
She begs you to stop.
Yeah, she's like, you can't. She's like, stop calling yourself a teacher. And I'm like, I teach people. And she's like, no.
Do you call yourself a teacher at home? You're like, yeah.
When we
babe,
meet people, I'm like, we're both teachers.
You.
And they're like, what grade do you teach? And I say all of them.
Okay.
Adults. I teach adults. Adults who are too
Steven,
trusting of people on the internet.
200,000 patents. I don't know. Anyway.
So, in the late 80s, early 90s, there was this issue going on between the United States and Iran. They weren't friends. Still aren't. And with that, there was a big threat of oil and fossil fuels because that ran our world. And so because Iran had the largest supply and there was this big conflict, there was a serious threat of if they were to embargo us or to do anything, they could kind of cut us off from the thing we need to run our society.
Sure.
And so Stanley noticed that and he said, well, I think I have an idea on how we can power our cars without gasoline. And that's where the idea for the water-fueled car came from. And so he started developing it, came up with the fuel cell, and then he bought this buggy, like straight up a dune buggy that you would see in a video game, and outfitted it with his fuel cell.
Love it.
And he got some decals on it.
Water-powered car. What's it? Hold on. Hey, Jesus Christ is Lord.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Got to give a shout out to old Jesus.
Yeah. Is it worth doing anything if you're not giving Jesus credit for it?
Yeah. What's actually crazy is that the car runs on wine.
It breaks down the wine molecules to water. Breaks down the water molecules to hydrogen. That's genius.
There's a lot of steps involved, but yeah,
that looks
like this looks like it would be in the Apple Butter Making Days parade. Like a Shriner would be driving that thing.
Yeah, that's actually that's pretty accurate. Actually,
he would just go do parades.
Yeah, so he started driving to universities around the country and showing it to the physics professors there, and being like, "Look what I did."
And they were like, "Did you set up an appointment?" He was just like interrupting
sorry, it's
their.
not my office.
Are you on your way to lunch right now? Hey, can I just show you my water powered car?
He drove into the
real
lecture
quick?
hall. Just pushed open the doors with the.
Just. He's hitting the handicap accessible button to open the doors, and he's sitting there waiting for it to. These are slow ones.
Is that a car?
Water powered?
Yeah, it's water. Watch it.
Sir, we can't allow that on our campus. Why? It's sorry for driving it on the hallways. No, actually, it's because it says Jesus Christ is Lord, and this is a pretty safe place.
Yeah, this is a public university,
and we can't have any mention of the L word.
So, as he's driving around to all these college professors and showing the technology to them, they're pretty amazed because as many of them had said in interviews after the fact, they said this shouldn't work. They said it's producing way more energy than you would expect it to.
Sure.
Given what you're inputting. Basically, what they were implying that this is breaking the law of thermodynamics. And so they're like, essentially, he's creating energy, and that's physically not possible. So it's very surprising that this works. So it started to show some kind of almost cracks in what he was presenting, but the professors were still like, but it works, and we're kind of amazed at it. Like this breaks
Was
physics,
it just a gas-powered car
works.
that he just was like, it runs on water?
People had some theories that was the case, but allegedly, all these professors got a chance to see the inner workings of it in process and said, this is functioning exactly as he says it does, and it doesn't make sense, is kind of the conclusions they came to.
Okay.
And he just drove around the country showing professors his new technology. And in the process,
I wonder if there's any of them that quit, that they saw it and they were like, yeah, this doesn't make sense to me anymore. And then they just quit their job and went home. And they're like, I'm just going to work at Annie Ann's Pretzels because
physics is a lie.
physics doesn't make sense anymore.
And they went like,
It's like
mad.
finding out that 2 + 2 = 5. And you're like,
none of this is real. Everything is a lie.
Yeah.
We live in a simulation.
went home, divorced his wife, just walked in and was like, this is over, I think. And she was like, what happened? And he's like, water-powered car.
She's like, did I do
She's
something?
like,
Did I say something? No. I just surmised that.
That man
Nothing
died of
makes sense.
dehydration because he refused to drink water for the rest
could
of
never
his
drink
life.
that
He's like, I
again.
can't. It's
The
car
amount
fuel.
of energy it will put into my body
Doesn't make sense.
And so in this process, he was starting to gain kind of some notoriety, and he was being brought on TV shows to showcase his car and do interviews. He was kind of becoming this famous person.
Yeah,
for
a
his
hydro celebrity.
for his water car. And people were like, how can I get a water car? And he was saying these kind of fantastical things on these interviews where he's like, because all you're doing is breaking down the molecules. He's like, you could put any water in this. You could put tap water. You could put bottled water. You could put lake water. He's like, you could put ocean water, salt water. It's fine. He said, I mean, don't got any water? Throw some snow in there. It'll melt.
Okay.
And so he's like, whatever you need.
So he was obviously full of it.
Yeah. And so,
What? Can we just do the last 5 seconds of video and just zoom in on Tim's face where he just goes,
okay.
like, what are you getting at?
Here's the thing. After he started his campaign,
Yeah.
there began this strange, large-scale lawsuit from a bunch of people who claimed he was a fraud.
Okay.
And these were kind of outside people who were suing him for what he was claiming, saying he needs to return his money to his investors because he's lying. So he had two investors that invested together $50,000 in the vehicle to fund the project. And these outside people were like, you're a liar, you give them their money back. And they sued him. And in the lawsuit, there was a couple things that were a little shady, where, for example, there was a expert witness who was supposed to come on site and watch the vehicle run and explain whether or not, okay, this is actually working or not. And on the day when he showed up, Stanley had all these just kind of weird coincidental excuses on why they couldn't test the car that day. And so it didn't get tested.
And then the next day, there was another witness lined up, and he mysteriously drowned. And Stanley was like, I guess his lungs couldn't do what my engine can do.
Here's the thing. My
Couldn't. How do you know it was salt water?
He showed up and he said, let's have a drinking contest. Your car versus me. And it's salt water. That's how we'll know if this is legit.
That this guy was like, I'm going to outdrink your car. And
to prove it's a lie.
Drowns himself in a drinking contest.
It only takes a couple gallons to drown yourself.
What kind of sentence is that? It only takes a couple gallons to drown yourself. It takes a
teaspoon to drown yourself, but your body can only take in a couple gallons if you're actually drinking it. So either way, he could have just had a teaspoon, or he could have taken.
It only takes a teaspoon to drown yourself?
Yeah, if you get that just right, drown. I don't know if that's true. That's what my mom used to say to me.
If you get it just right. Can you imagine a murderer trying to take you out with a teaspoon of water? And he's just like, gotta get it right. And he's like holding your mouth open. And he's like, and it dribbles a little bit. And he's like,
sorry, you were supposed to drown.
Is that Dasani? I'm sorry. And then like,
they call him the Dasani Drowner.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's golly. It's time for Validation Station. Choo choo. The part of the show where we read our podcast reviews, because that's the reason we do this. Gravy and Meats, probably related to Meats and Graves, says, love your podcast. It gives me something to listen to when I'm bored, working out, or cleaned. Definitely worth a listen to. I too listen to this podcast when I'm cleaned. Choo choo.
There's some cracks forming, and then a board of PhD scientists reviewed his patents and the schematics in his patents, and they came to the conclusion that yes, this would actually do what he said it would do, but they came to the same conclusion that we kind of talked about a second ago. They said the energy transfer is so nominal, it's not practical. Like, you're not going to power a car as much as he's claiming you're going to power a car with the amount of hydrogen you're actually producing from this system. So he lost the lawsuit and was ordered to pay back his investors, which didn't happen because after this lawsuit, Stanley kind of went a little crazy and believed that the government or some sort of shadow agency was trying to silence his invention.
Which there's a lot of money in oil.
There is a ton of money in oil.
I think there's a lot of stuff trying to hold like Teslas and electric vehicles back because big water is trying to break in, you know?
Oil is very profitable. And there's some very, very sketchy people in the oil business. Including
but not limited to the United States government.
Yeah, actually. He one fateful day, March 20th, 1998, he was dining at a restaurant. I like to believe it was Olive Garden. There's no report on what it is, but I like to believe Olive Garden.
Just want to make it up.
Yes. He was there with his brother, Steven. And Steven, all the while, was kind of like his sidekick in this process. We kind of left that out of the story. He was like, hey, he was like, I was a part of making this car.
I asked if he was important, and you were like,
he's
no.
The ancillary. He was.
That's how people will talk about our podcast in the future. Like, Jaron and Tim, is Tim important?
I mean, up until that drowning.
Up until he drowned in that teaspoon of salt water.
No, his brother was a part of the process. He was like his assistant inventor for this car. And so After the lawsuit, they were still trying to get the car out there. They just didn't have the funding anymore. Like they still had the patent. They still could use it. They just didn't get to keep their investors. And so they arranged a meeting with these two Belgian investors who flew out from Belgia.
Are you serious?
Belgium.
I thought you were doing it for the bit, and then I saw the panic in your eyes.
Belgium. So they flew out from Belgium, and they were having this meeting, talking through the patents.
The United States of Belgium. I question just so much about like our life. You know, this is one of those moments. I feel like a philosophy professor or not a philosophy, a physics professor who just saw a water-powered vehicle. My whole world is shifted. Go ahead.
So these Belgian guys. They were investors who were interested in the car.
Yeah.
And they were kind of having this meeting, eating their bottomless salad and breadsticks.
At Olive Garden, right?
And
the Belgian guys brought their own waffles, though.
Hey, yeah, they're like, "Sir, you can't bring that. It's okay. We're from Belgium."
Okay. Go ahead.
And Stanley, he ordered himself a cranberry juice at this restaurant.
Is this important?
Yeah. Which I was sidebar. First of all, cranberry juice is a rare juice. Like I feel like you don't meet a lot of people who drink cranberry juice on the reg.
Yeah,
but to find someone who orders cranberry juice at a restaurant,
that's like adults who order chocolate milk. You're just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, can I get it?
Worse, someone who orders just milk, but they call it vanilla milk. You know, like when they're just like, "Can I have vanilla milk?" Do you mean regular milk?
So he just goes back and is like, "Do we have any vanilla? Like, can I just shoot this?"
I don't know. Just give him cranberry juice. Like.
So he orders his cranberry juice. The waitress drops it off. They're having their meeting. He takes a sip of his cranberry juice and immediately just gets up from the table and walks outside. And doesn't say anything, just gets up and walks out of the restaurant. And his brother Steven says, "Can you excuse us for a second?" And he follows his brother outside to find his brother violently vomiting on the street. And Steven says, "Stanley, what's going on? Are you okay?" And Stanley says, "They poisoned me." And those were his last words, and he dies on the street. It was the cranberry juice, man.
Okay. The Belgians poisoned him? Or the restaurant poisoned him? Who's the they?
Or the U.S. government? Or the oil companies? Or the physicists that sued him?
And then Steven runs back inside to tell the Belgians, and they had left their clip-on ties at the table.
Well, Steven actually says he goes in to tell them, and he says it blew up the deal. Stanley's death, because Steven goes back inside and he tells him, "My brother just died.
He's dead."
And he said that
So you're saying that the two guys stayed there inside for at least, I would assume 20 something minutes.
Yeah, the waitress comes back and is like, "Are they coming back?" And they're like, "I don't know.
I don't know where they are. Are there windows at this place? Can they not look outside?"
You've never looked out an Olive Garden window before. And they're like, "Well, can we just order? I'm sure they'll want spaghetti or something."
Yeah, I just want the 5 cheese. Yeah, thank you so much.
Meanwhile, he's outside. "They poisoned me!"
Dying on the sidewalk. An ambulance undoubtedly shows up.
Yeah.
Powered by water. So here comes. It's releasing oxygen, so they just put him up to the exhaust pipe, and then it's like give this man some oxygen.
Stick it to me.
And then someone is in the front of the ambulance revving the engine. Just
pump it. Give it some more gas. It's like jumping a car.
Oh,
it's like, come on, rev it up.
They poisoned me. But honestly, either way, I hope those are my last words. No matter how I'm old. dying in a hospital bed, surrounded by my family. I do the thing where I pull my oldest in and I go, "There's a hidden treasure." You know, I do my whole bit that I've got planned.
The whole thing, yeah.
And then before and it's they poisoned me.
And then just die.
Is gone.
So,
What do you
Steven
want your
runs in.
last words to be?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah, I thought about a lot about death lately. Thought about how I thought about a lot of ways I don't want to die.
Okay.
You know, like that time I almost choked on a boneless wing at Applebee's. I don't want to die like that. You know,
Am I supposed to remember that?
you weren't there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
that
know
would
about
be
that?
rough. No.
Oh, I like straight up thought I was going to die.
Did you have to get Heimlicked?
No, I went.
Did you have to get Himalaya'd?
I coughed it out, but
Yeah.
what was I choking on? It's a boneless wing. The breading? Anyway, I couldn't go out like that. If I died like
That's
that,
fair.
would you make up a lie?
No, I'd
Just-
probably make fun of it.
Yeah, great.
I'd probably lean
You would
into
go,
it.
here's how people will go, "Hey, how did Jaron die?" And you would go, that's exactly what you would do.
I'd be like, it only takes...
So he got poisoned by somebody.
Yeah, someone poisoned him. And the theories abound on who... Is that a Perrier? Careful, Jared. That sip was big enough to drown.
a teaspoon. It was the way you can't say Belgium, but you go Perrier. It's the way you don't know all other words, but this, you don't even sound, you just go Perrier. You didn't even go Perrier. Yeah, it is. Ever since I had 100,000 followers on Instagram, water just doesn't taste the same to me anymore. You know, so now I do sparkling water. And Perrier, not affiliated with our show,
But fuels our cars. So
but is enough to drown you.
this little can
This-
could kill you.
I'm huge though. I'm a large person. This is the size of a Monster can. Those big ones.
Can we make a video of you holding tiny cans of Perrier and me holding giant, like 42-ounce cans of Perrier, and you just like hand it to me?
They
and
make
we just
42-ounce cans of Perrier.
you just cut it where you hand it to me and I take it, and all of a sudden it's like this big.
I think we can figure that out. Some
All right.
movie magic. Sorry, I didn't mean for it to. You know, I was trying to be more subtle about it, but I also want people to know I'm better than them. You know, that's like the whole point of drinking Perrier.
Yeah, it's the status.
Yeah, we should email them before this episode comes out so they pay us for this.
Hey, we really advertised for you. A lot of theories.
Perrier. What if that's what we do? If we get any sponsorships, we just horribly mess it up. Perrier.
Cranberry juice.
You know when you're out with friends and you just need a good crayon? You just need a sip of crayon. You know me. They call me the crayon man.
Yeah, we used to hang out with Jaron all the time, but we stopped because he just gargles cranberry juice everywhere we go.
Dude, that guy's a walking advertisement. That's like that's
He's
the
loud
brand
about
deal
it.
I want. Yeah.
We're in Olive Garden. And he's like, I love this Perrier.
Perrier.
Cranberry.
Just like gargling. Oh, wow.
So, anyways, lots of potential people have a motive
Sure. To take him out.
to take out Stanley if it's true that he's about to topple the oil industry.
But what a way to die, though. Just cast a little bit of a doubt. Like a they. Who's they? You don't even have time to explain.
Yeah.
They poisoned me.
yeah, so many
Oh,
possibilities.
so
Who that
fake.
is.
That's fun. I like that.
Yeah,
That's how I
so-
want to go out.
Steven seems convinced that it was the Belgians.
Yeah.
Because when he told them, he said that my brother just died. And he said they had no response. They didn't offer any condolences.
They
didn't even look shaken.
My brother just died.
Like, your spaghetti got here a few minutes ago. It's cold.
Yeah, it's cold now. Did you want cheese on that?
Are you going to get a box? Because we could put it in our box if you're not going to take it.
We ate your breadsticks.
The waitress asked if this was going to be one check or separate, and we said one because we expected you to pay for it. Is that still...
We expected him to pay for it.
Yeah, but now that he's gone,
Will you
you're
grab
next
his
of kin.
wallet?
You're the legal next of kin.
Will you go take his wallet, please? I like
He
that
doesn't need his money
in
anymore.
this scenario, Steven has left his brother's dead body on the sidewalk to come in and check on the Belgian deal. Like, his brother is dead on the side, and he's just like, I should go see if that deal's still
The
on.
paramedics are like, asking all these questions, like, hold on, I need to check on
The
the
paramedics are just like, should we take his... This is your decision to make. Should we take him off life support? There's a
Give me
whole...
1 second.
This is him being held
He
up to the
comes back
exhaust
out, he's
pipe.
like, hey, could you hand me his wallet?
Could you? It's in his back. Yeah. Oh, sometimes he kept it in the right one. Check there.
Yeah, it could be there. I think he
Thank
did just
you.
get a new money clip. It's in his shirt pocket, actually.
Yeah, actually, yeah. That's it. That's it. Thank
That's
you.
the
Could
one.
you hand me
Thank
the
you.
blue card?
Yeah.
Sorry, the other one. Thank you. I'll be right back. What do you think it is? It
Wait, is that a black card? I didn't know
what's
he had one of
typical
those.
at Olive Garden? Is it 18 or 20%? The paramedics are just like, you should probably the 25 because someone died here.
It's not your money, so.
Thank you for serving us, Tiffany. We threw in an extra 5% for the death. Yeah, I mean, if you're a waitress and someone dies from your table, you
Yeah.
better get a good tip. You know? Have you or a loved one been diagnosed with too many advertisements during the Tillin podcast? Have we got good news for you? Our patrons enjoy ad-free experience, and they get early access to content, behind-the-scenes stuff, exclusive merchandise, and access to a private Discord channel where we all are in it, our producers and the hosts. So if you'd like to be a patron today and solve that problem, why don't you text Tillin to 66866.
So, yeah, so he believes it's the Belgians, and his reasoning is they acted weird, which could be cultural differences, but also, I mean, could be legit.
Could be they didn't understand a word he was saying, but yeah. They were like,
They just came out for the free Olive Garden. They were never interested in the car.
yeah, go ahead.
But he thinks their motive was Stanley was he was notorious for providing too much detail in his patents. Here's the thing about patents: you don't have to share proprietary information in your patents. So if there's anything that gives away your secrets, it doesn't have to be in your patent. You can be vague about those segments.
Sure.
And you can still get a patent out. And so most people who get patents about things like a water-powered car would be pretty vague about the technology, so that way other people can't rip them off.
Right. Even though it's patented.
Yeah, because when the patent expires, if you're too clear about how it works, then other people could come just check your patents and re-engineer it, or
okay.
reverse engineer it, or whatever you want to say. But if you're vague, then they have to figure it out themselves also after the patent expires.
Yeah.
Stanley didn't do this. He was very, very clear about how the process worked. And so since his patents were public record, if the guy who owns the patent dies, then these guys could just kind of make off with the technology and build it themselves.
Ooh.
So he believes that was their motive. The interesting thing is...
The next year, Volkswagen came out with a new 99 water-powered dune buggy.
Yeah, here's the thing. It never happened. Belgia never produced any... These guys never made it. So...
Belgia.
You like that? Nobody ever made the water-powered car from the Belgian duo.
Yeah.
Or anybody in Belgium, for that matter. So that's a little shaky. I choose to believe.
Do you know where Belgium is?
Belgium?
Can you just switch to his camera and just look at the panic in his eyes? Don't fake
Here's the
panic.
thing.
That was
It's
real.
in Europe. I know it's in Europe. Shut your mouth. Don't even look at me like that. I know it's in Europe. You can't fool me. So
Yeah, it's somewhere in Europe. That's right. Freaking idiot. Go ahead.
Okay. I hate you so much. Here's the thing. My job isn't to know where things are. My job is to know a small amount of details about a dumb story I found on the
You know
internet.
a joke that I regret that we didn't make?
What?
We should have made that Hawaii. We should have just made that Hawaii and put Norwegia underneath it. It looks close enough. Anyway, go ahead.
Here's the thing. The local police
Yeah.
loved this case because
They're like, this is
there
the
was
best.
intrigue. There was potential conspiracy. The detectives were all over this. They were like, we want to solve this case.
One sip of cranberry.
Yep. That's not enough. Well, so the coroner ended up determining that he had an aneurysm, a brain aneurysm.
Oh.
And that's what killed him. And so...
Is that what happens when you get a brain aneurysm? Do you just like start puking and stuff?
No. The theory now, the leading theory that supports a poisoning is that he was in fact poisoned by the cranberry juice, and that's why he was vomiting.
Sure.
But he already had high blood pressure, and so the vomiting so intensely, like created all this pressure in his brain. He already had high blood pressure that triggered an aneurysm.
I got it. Okay.
There's no poison that will actually make an aneurysm, but the vomiting, maybe.
Could lead to an aneurysm.
Could lead to an aneurysm, maybe. The coroner says it was natural. It was coincidental that he was vomiting at the time. Maybe had some bad Olive Garden.
I thought they were going to be like, yeah, the DNA showed that it just wasn't his vomit. And Steven was like, I saw him puking. And they're like, wasn't his.
It was just cranberry juice.
Yeah, someone must
just
have been walking
swigged a
by at the
ton of
same time that he fell down with an aneurysm and just started vomiting near the body. And then just left.
Literally stood right behind him and matched his movements so you couldn't see him from your line of sight.
Did you throw up, Steven? Did you throw up, Steven? Tell me right now.
Steven, you're the one who puked.
Steven, did you puke?
Steven,
what
you
if
killed him.
What if they're gaslighting Steven in the interrogation room? They're like, you did it. We know you did it.
Oh my gosh.
Why would he order cranberry juice, Steven?
Yeah, who does that? Olive juice doesn't even serve olive juice.
Was your chocolate milk poisoned, Steven?
Steven is Stanley the whole time. Steven's the one who died. No, so years later, the family held on to this water-powered car, but didn't really do anything with it until they sold it to a company that was like, hey, we're going to mass produce this, and then we're going to pay you a royalty. So they paid a down payment. They said, we're going to pay you a royalty. And then they drove to Canada and didn't pay him the rest of the down payment or any royalty and began trying to develop the car, but never pulled it off. So
there's a lot of snow in Canada that they can convert into hydrogen.
So the car doesn't exist right now. Nobody knows where it is. I mean, it's presumably in Canada, maybe in Belgium. But nobody knows exactly where this car is. And theoretically, it would work, but there's no real hard proof that it does work as well as he claimed it did.
I know where it is.
Where?
You seen those Ocean Spray commercials?
No.
Where they're standing in that giant vat of cranberries? You know exactly what I'm talking about. The car is at the bottom of the cranberry sea. You know exactly what I'm
Those guys are walking through the boots. And I just stepped on something kind of hard.
What was that? Well, don't reach in without gloves.
The cranberry snake might be in there. The crayon snake.
That's not what I was thinking at all. It's for...
Yeah, you can't bite through gloves.
Yeah, don't reach in there without gloves. The cranberry monster will get you. What are you talking about? I was just thinking sanitary, but okay.
No, there's a snake.
Like there's
a snake.
Cranberry
There's a cranberry snake in there.
Ocean Spray, a great sponsor of things I learned last night. You got a lot of PR stuff to do now, guys. Like,
watch out for the crayon snake.
Tell us what's in the cranberry juice. Release pictures of the cranberry monster.
I need to see LiDAR footage proving that there's not a giant cranberry snake living underneath.
The Cranaconda.
This giant like periwinkle anaconda.
Oh golly. All right, sorry. We don't know where the car is.
Yeah, and it obviously hasn't been invented. So here's the thing. It's pretty clear that one of two things is happening.
Yeah.
Either it never worked and this guy's a massive fraud.
Yeah.
Which is a little, I don't know. There's evidence for
You
and
don't
against
want to.
that.
It's harder now that he's dead because you don't want to speak ill of him,
No, it's okay.
especially because he got murdered.
Well,
Possibly.
maybe. Here's the thing. He had 200,000 patents. So, and he worked at a reputable lab. And so
Yeah.
it's like, okay,
There's enough
he
evidence
probably-
that he was competent.
But here's the other side. The flip side of that coin is he didn't have a formal education. He graduated high school and went to this lab right out of high school and
Yeah.
just started inventing stuff. Also, his invention violated the law of thermodynamics. So that's a little odd. Also, the patent office got to the point where they're just like, whatever he sends us, we'll just sign off on. And so
Yeah.
could he have just gotten really confident and said, hey, I could just make something up and just travel the country and get paid a lot of money for it?
Maybe.
Maybe. There's no past of him being a fraudster, but he got to the point where he
A confidence trickster, if you will.
He could have just kind of done whatever at this point and got away with it. So is that possible? Yeah, sure. But here's the thing. The car has not been developed yet. Oil is still being widely used. Is that a coincidence? Cranberry juice kills people by the day.
How many cranberry juice deaths have there been this year? How many more will there have to be? It's a crandemic. I can do that all day.
Oh gosh. What if the cranaconda
Cranaconda.
just like started multiplying really fast? They call it the cranaconda crandemic.
Oh my god. There's no evidence of how it's reproducing.
We've never seen it. So anyways, there is a strong case for the possibility that he was right and he was silenced and his car got disposed of.
Right.
So his technology could never exist. But there's also solid evidence that he just made the whole thing up.
Sure.
You just kind of got to flip a coin and decide what you believe, really. So Stanley Meyer, maybe a truther, maybe a liar. Absolutely a cranberry juice fan. What you looking for?
Looking for a coin to flip. See.
See where we land.
All right. Headphone case. Blank side. He's full of it.
Yeah. Not blank side.
Not blank side. We're sure that he's right. Ready?
Okay. This is the worst flip I've ever seen.
Ah, he's a liar. That's our official stance.
That's the Dylan official stance. We should do this for every episode now. Make an official stance on whatever the episode's about.
Great.
Fill that guy off. Hey, thanks for watching Things I Learned Last Night. If you like this episode, you can watch more right here, or you can watch some highlights. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It helps us out a lot. Also, leave a comment below, and we'll see you next week.